Hello, welcome to episode 3 of our Hearts of Iron Let's Play as Italy. The big news from last time was that we conquered Yugoslavia. Other than that, Germany got Austria, and Japan beat nationalist China in the Sino-Japanese War there. So as you can see, it's now the middle of 1938. And our soldiers are just kind of moving back into their preparatory positions for an attack on France. The main priority in the near future is going to be getting our armies ready for the Second World War when it starts. There probably won't be any more combat until towards the end of 1939. And yep, I've still got lots of spies. So what I'm doing now is I'm looking for another country where my spies could possibly do some good. The other alternative is to put the leadership points I'm spending on espionage into researching more technologies, because you remember I'm about a year and a half behind in tech. But I couldn't really see anywhere where my spies could be effective. So I'm just going to leave it in status quo for now until I can think of what to do with those extra points. Yep, this is the point where I just realised my navies and air forces have been doing their war missions for the last 2 months when we weren't in a war. So they were just kind of flying around wasting fuel and supplies, which I might need someday. See, all of them just stop, go back to your air bases, and just stop wasting fuel. Yeah, I've seen the Third Army from... You'll remember originally they were in reserve in northern Italy, whereas I've decided now that they are best used, or that army is best used to cover the front with Greece, since I think you pretty much always end up in a war against Greece. And if you don't have forces along this border, Greece can actually do a lot of damage. And it's kind of embarrassing to have to come and get Germany to save you. Oh, the Treaty of Munich. So Germany has just gained the Sudetenland, a decent chunk of Czechoslovakia. Just getting the extra brigades necessary to bring my armoured corps up to strength. And these units are getting priority, because I want to get the African army up and into Africa as soon as possible. Yep, put that garrison in the wrong city. You'll notice I've still got one fleet sailing around just south of Italy, which I haven't noticed yet. Pretty sure I'll see it fairly soon. Nope, I won't. So I'm going to look at Czechoslovakia. For Czechoslovakia. Oh, partisans. Yeah, I think 5 infantry divisions should do the trick. I find that partisans in this game are actually really ineffective. Like, they very rarely can actually leave the province that they spawn in before they run out of supplies. So I mean, all they really do is they pop up and block the supply line, but in small numbers that's not an issue. It's only when you get lots of them they can start see that they've got no organisation already. They just won't be able to move. And to be honest, I probably could actually just leave this group of partisans there and just use it to gain experience for my tactical bombers. And it would have near enough to no adverse effects on my military performance. Or at least until more pop up somewhere. See, we're not that far behind. It's kind of the end of 1938 and we're just starting to research the 1938 industrial technologies. So they'll be done early to mid 1939. So I suppose 18 months is about right still. The idea that I had here was that I'll put all these brigades near in the same province as where my African army is, and then I'll just kind of merge them each to one unit. And the problem is I was presented with this. It's just I have to unclick every unit except for the one that I want. And that thing happens where, well, it's just an annoying thing that really shouldn't happen, but if you've selected more than, I don't know, more than 20 or so units, by the time you click them all, you get rid of most of them to the point where the ones left can fit on the screen. The whole thing, I'll explain this terribly. But all the units you've selected move to the left because the scroll bar is now gone, which means instead of clicking on the X, you now click on the Select Unit button, and you just pretty much cancel all the selection and all the work you've done, and you've got to start over again. So I scrapped that plan. Just do it the old-fashioned way of actually having to move these units around to merge them and then move them back to where I actually want them. And do you know what's really stupid? The whole time there was actually a much easier way to do this, where all I had to do when deploying the units was actually to look at what province the division I was attaching them to was in, and attach them to the ones in Napoli, because that's where the African army was stationed. I mean, it wasn't hard. I just made it a lot more difficult for myself, for no good reason. So here we go. Am I going to do it this time? Here we go, Campobasso. Well, we've beat the partisans. So now I'm looking for Campobasso. There they are. Occasionally you do that and click a couple of times too many. Right now I'm just figuring out how many more brigades I'm going to need to bring my European armies up to strength. Just move this corps back into reserve. The border with Greece is lightly held, and to be honest, they're probably only going to be able to slow down any Greek attack. But we've got 6 divisions in reserve there, which should be enough to counter any breakthroughs they have and drive them back, everything being lucky. It should be right. Again, I forget to cancel the orders to my bombers. Those are the ones that were bombing the partisans earlier. I suppose they were kind of still just patrolling over Yugoslavia in case any more should pop up. And I still haven't noticed those submarines just to the south there. Okay, we are now in 1939. If everything goes according to history, the war will start in 6 months? 8 months? Yeah. I'm not that good at counting months. But the main thing is that gives me 8 months to get my African forces ready. See, these anti-tank brigades here are going... well, they were going onto the border with France. My African army has all the anti-tank guns that I feel that they should have. Just gotta wait for the engineers and a few tank destroyers and a few more tanks. All of which I've prioritised, so they shouldn't be too far away. Then that army will be ready to go. Well, it'll be ready to transport over to Africa, at which point they'll still have to move into position, but once they're there they should be able to just kick ass. And yeah, it may look like there's a lot of things going on there, or a lot of brigades I'm producing, but they're all fairly cheap and they don't take that long, so I should be able to get through it pretty quick, even with my limited industry. So they'll be ready April, March, which should give us enough time. If the war starts in August, we could probably get our forces over there kind of early May. They'll be in position by June. Yep, we should be right. And we'll be able to go on the offensive as soon as Germany invades Poland. Not that it's actually all that important, because once Germany beats France, they'll just take everything for themselves. But I suppose it's good to just try and get your units the most experience as possible. And Britain usually... well, Britain's usually fairly weak actually. But it's good to kind of go and grab Egypt as soon as you can. Even if it's only to make their supply ships take a longer route around Africa and isolate Malta and Cyprus and Gibraltar a bit. Just seeing if there's anyone here I can influence. Yeah, Hungary doesn't really like the Axis now because they reckon they are more deserving of some of the territory I took off Yugoslavia than me. But whatever. It's only Hungary. Okay, here are the engineers. So if I'm smart, I'll just be finding the units in Napoli and giving them to them. Excellent. Oh. Those engineers, or more engineers, aren't being produced right now. So hopefully we can actually get them out fairly quick. I mean, engineer brigades are fairly quick to build, but we're down to 6 months now. See, this is actually going to be tight. Well, the UK's guaranteed the independence. Germany's annexed Czechoslovakia. Hungary is now on the Axis. I guess they weren't that pissed off at all. Whoa, lots of units to place. France is mobilizing. Yep, let's annex Albania. Honestly, it doesn't gain us much, but I've actually just extended my border with Greece. Which means it's gonna keep on being quite poorly defended. See, we've still got one division in each of our border provinces, but we're now down to 4 in reserve. Which, yeah, I mean the terrain there is very mountainous. If you use the reserves to rush in, it should be enough to hold any major offensives they push, but there's a decent chance we'll lose ground there. So I suppose, well, this is all very hypothetical because Greece isn't even in the Allies yet. But if they do join, we are going to have to hope that France is beaten quickly, so that we can bring some of those forces over to help fight the Greeks. I suppose that's another advantage of attacking as soon as we can, just because it helps Germany defeat France. And then we can use our forces elsewhere quicker. Okay, we're working out. Oh, but our engineers will be done in August and September. That is really bad. So it looks like most of our army is actually going to be going into battle, starting the war without engineers. And the African army might just get done before the war starts. Come August, or the end of August, they're probably not going to be in position or ready to go yet. So, the question is, do I send them over now when they're incomplete and get them ready to attack at the end of August? Or do I just delay my offensive for a little bit? And the thing is, once they're in Africa, I'm not really going to be able to send them soldiers for... Well, it could be for the duration of the war, that might be it. Yeah, I think it's better to just wait a bit, and get decent units over there, just in case I can't actually reinforce them at all. South Africa's joined the Allies. That means nothing, really. You'll note on the border with France there, I have anti-tank guns in every province except for the one that's facing an armoured division. Will I fix this before the war? Probably. It's only a few months away. I mean, I've still got a few months, but I really should have thought about that a bit better and actually looked at the map while I was doing this. Because my Alpine troops are the ones that actually need the anti-tank guns at the start, or at least on the first few days of the war. Well, to be honest, those tanks aren't going to be much of a worry. Like, they're up in the mountains. Yep, I have noticed my submarines. So they were about patrolling those waters for about a year, searching for Yugoslavian convoys. Sorry, for about a year after Yugoslavia had surrendered. Which is a fantastic use of resources. Brazil could be a powerful ally, but they'd be very isolated. Mexico could also be powerful. But what I actually decide is that they're probably best not used as an ally, but I can prevent them from joining the Allies. So you go, they're already close, and they're drifting even closer. Well, my plan is to send my spies in there and arrange a coup that will knock them way down towards our end of the political spectrum, and just keep a few units out of the Allies. And it's also going to force the United States to keep a few more divisions on the border with Mexico, just in case. Plus, if we ever do get round to like invading North America, they would possibly, or potentially, be nearer to becoming our allies, or nearer to joining the Axis. Or maybe they could even just give us military access, and we can use it as a staging post for an invasion of North America. That would be interesting. Probably not really possible, because we'd have to go right through the Caribbean, which would probably be heavily patrolled by the United States and British forces if they're still around. Well, it's an idea, it's just not really plausible. Yeah, our engineers aren't going to be ready anywhere near soon enough. Now we'll just have to delay going to war for a bit. It's kind of good that Germany invades Poland and doesn't immediately ask us to help them out. I mean, they don't need our help. Yay, our Alpine troops get anti-tank guns. See, one thing you probably didn't, but you might have noticed there, was that of our armoured corps, we have 4 divisions of light tanks and only 1 of medium tanks. Which also isn't ideal, but I really don't have the time to upgrade those light armoured brigades into medium tanks. Especially since, from the perspective of technology, I don't want to keep researching the light tank techs. Like, from memory, 2 of them are good for motorized infantry, which I'm going to keep using. But I don't think the other 2 are worth much if you don't have light tanks. And even cutting out 2 technologies could do a fair bit of difference, or could make a fair bit of difference for my, well, technology lag. See, I decided I'm only going to research 2 of the militia techs, because the only units that are going to be using them are the garrisons, and they do not need piercing attack or anti-tank capabilities because they've got anti-tank brigades there, and they also don't need offensive toughness because they're not going to be attacking. So all they need is the defensiveness boost and the soft attack boost, and we'll rely on the anti-tank gun bonuses to give them everything else. So what I'm doing now is I'm supporting the fascist party in Mexico, whatever it's called, and putting a few points into storing up our covert operations, both of which are going to be necessary before we stage a coup. I'm also keeping our counter-espionage there high, just to make it a bit easier. Cool, the first of our Greek troops are getting anti-tank guns. Which isn't all that useful since I doubt Greece actually has any tanks or even armoured cars. But I think it gives the bonuses elsewhere, I think. Oh, lots to research here. See, the light tank gun does not give any bonuses if you don't have armoured cars or light tanks, which ultimately I don't want to. And then yeah, I'm not planning on having any mechanised armour or light armoured cars or light armour tanks. So I'm also not going to research light armour reliability, simply because it's not worth my time. Which just means those 4 divisions are going to be a bit backwards until I get round to upgrading them to medium armour. Which, as I said, there's a good chance that might not ever come. Like if they're sitting in Africa for the duration of the war. Yeah. Oh, education, that's a good one to get. It's July. Germany has just signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact with the Soviet Union. Kind of means the invasion of Poland's imminent. And we are just getting our first engineer brigades to our African army. Well, not our first, these would be the 6th, 7th and 8th. But you know what I mean. Germany's mobilizing. And for some reason there's a gap in the line there. Alright, I'm not going to tell Germany how to wage their wars. Here we go, making some progress. Decide that my armoured units should get priority for these. I believe I do anyway. Just because they're going to be my main offensive force in Africa. And if for whatever reason I do end up having to go early, I'm going to need them to be in good condition. And the engineer brigades do help keep casualties down and give them a pretty significant bonus if they have to fight across rivers. Possibly also in urban environments, maybe. No, it's fortifications and rivers. I doubt they'll see many fortifications in Africa, but they will see a few rivers. Primarily the Nile, hopefully. Actually, I say a few rivers. There's only really one river that you have to worry about in Africa, and that is the Nile. And then there's that other one there, but the French won't defend. The French won't really defend any. Well, they probably won't defend that much in Algeria and Tunisia or Morocco. Whereas the British could be trouble in Egypt. Just organising my navy for war. Getting a few of these patrol fleets ready again. And now I'm going to load some of these soldiers up on boats to head to North Africa. I'm sending my armoured troops down towards the border with France because I kind of want to knock them out as quickly as possible. So I figure an armour drive across North Africa should do the trick there. Whereas Britain, you've got kind of a big long slog. Oh, that's the war's just started. So Germany has just sent an ultimatum to Poland, which I'm fairly certain they've also rejected. And that's the Second World War. Well, that's the Second World War started. There's still a lot more of it to go. And I am still ferrying my soldiers to North Africa. Okay, apparently all the soldiers in the African army that didn't have engineers are now in North Africa. And it looks like Germany is doing fairly well, considering the war's 2 days old. Well, this is the point where we're going to end. Hope you enjoy the next episode, when we will get involved in the Second World War. See ya!